Here's your smart fact of the day. So, what does the term quiet quitting mean? It's been so much in the news of late, especially with people wanting to make you work for 18 hours and people responding to that and all of that. Quiet quitting is about doing the bare minimum at work. Okay, so I think it is talked about in a negative way, maybe by older people, but positive way by younger people. It's about doing only what's required of you without actually telling your boss that you're leaving. Okay, that means finishing work on time every day, always taking your lunch break, turning down projects that are outside your job spec, and all of that. Well, that is quiet quitting. And in today's episode of Smarter with Sid, I thought I'd do a hot take on my view on quiet quitting and whether it's good, bad, ugly, or all of it. Let's go. So on Smarter with Sid, what I try to do is figure out whether there is any context that needs to be spoken about. So let's go for the context. I think there was a post that was going viral on LinkedIn, which was all about one CEO of one company saying that, hey, I don't understand why people from, the ages of 18 to 25 or 30 or whatever, why are they just putting in the bare minimum at work? This is the time when you have to work hard. And unfortunately, he used the word or rather the sentence 18 hours per day. But I think he just meant, work hard or whatever. But I don't want to get into the controversies of what he was saying and whether I support him or don't support him. That's not the point. On Smarter with Sid, the reason why I'm giving this context is to actually understand what is happening in the workplace and is there something that we need to be aware of as younger people or as older people. Now, as somebody who is a professor, okay, I am in a unique position wherein I'm in touch with industry as well as peers who are older, right? And I'm in touch with students and people entering into the workplace who are younger. And I can see a clear divide. And that is the divide that is messing things up over here. So that was the context, really. I wanted to understand, what the repercussions of quiet quitting are. Because what is quiet quitting? It means that, okay, I've had enough of my boss bossing me around and I don't want to be bullied into doing additional work for the same pay. I will take my lunch break. I will take my whatever working time. I'll be on time. I'll do my work sincerely, but I will leave on time because I've got other things to do after my work. And it is a bit of a statement because you don't tell your boss that you're going, you're contractually obligated. So that I think kind of gives us the flavor of quiet quitting. Now, older people actually end up not liking quiet quitting because they're not used to it. And especially if you are in a situation wherein you have people who are reporting into you, you have spent your life in a particular way. That means that, when you're young, you work hard and all of those tropes come in. And I think that is where they're coming from. As far as younger people are concerned, they live by a different set of metrics. Okay, they have understood a lot of new things which older people just don't get. Like work is another life experience like other life experiences. And so therefore work has a good place. I will do work sincerely, but I'm not going to be, being slave driven. So that is the divide. That's the tension, really. And I really think that this tension is because over a period of time, as society has evolved, and mind you, this is not just India. It is there in the West and it is there in workaholic countries like the US, for example. It is there everywhere. And the expectations that people who are of an older generation have and people who are of a younger generation have seem to be at the crossroad. So there you go. That's the context. But can we get down to a few, home truths or principles that are coming, at least to my mind, which I want to share with you? Okay. So the first thing that I want, just elaborate on is that if you're young and if you're quietly quitting, it means that you are making a statement, but in a quiet way. You don't want to raise too much of noise. You don't want to talk about it on social media, but you are in control of your life and you will do exactly as you please. And that's good. I have no objections, to anybody doing that. I think it's wonderful, to be honest, to be something to be celebrated. The second thing is there are a lot of people who actually talk about it on social media. The whole idea of quiet quitting, people talk about it. That's all right too. But when you're talking about it, you're not really being quiet about it, are you? So the fact is that there are people who might be, raising this to an extent that it gets talked about. So I guess there is a need for us to talk about how we approach work, to be honest, in today's day and age. I think that the work rules that we have perhaps might be antiquated. What do I mean by that? I think what I mean by that is we equate time with money. And I don't think that that is the only factor that we should keep in mind. I think you put in a certain amount of hours and that gets converted into money is a very rudimentary way of looking at things. And I think if you look at impact and if you look at quality of work and if you look at, the sort of work that is being produced, perhaps it is a chance for all of us to kind of reflect upon things and maybe move towards more project-oriented sort of an approach. Of course, results are always dicey to be guaranteed. And if everyone gets judged by results, I suspect half of us are going to be out of any kind of meaningful work. But the fact is that we could move to a project-oriented sort of system. Now, not that it's a complete answer to any problem like this, because it has multiple facets. It's a wicked problem. If I look at it from an older generation perspective, I think it is imperative for us to understand that how work itself is viewed by the younger generation needs to be understood. And also, please, founders, people who are founders or people who are at top positions always expect the same amount of effort that their underlings should be giving. And I think it's an unfair ask because they don't own the company, they don't get that big salary or the rest of it. Now, they're taking a risk in your mind by working less, and so therefore they won't get promoted, and the rest of it is what you feel. Sure, but why don't you let market dynamics handle that? We've had the great resignation in just a few months back, and now today we are all talking about a recession, which means okay, people want to scramble and hold on to their jobs. So there is a natural tension in market dynamics, which I think should play itself out. And then we will understand, whether people still feel the same about quiet quitting or whatever it is after the results of quiet quitting will be evaluated by their peers. Now, I'm not saying that this is the right thing to do, but I think that market dynamics nobody can argue with unless and until the people of today become the leaders of tomorrow and enforce their work metrics, wherein work experience is just one part of life experience happens. I don't think that this tension is going to go away. I think there's always going to be, okay, I really don't understand Gen Z or something like that, or I don't really understand how these guys spend all of their life at work when there's so much to be done. To the younger generation, I just have sort of a suggestion, which is perhaps when you quietly quit, also quietly start something. You can quietly quit without, quietly starting. You could watch Netflix and chill. You could, just do nothing, or you could spend your time the way you want to in leisure activities. And there's nothing absolutely wrong with it. But it's quite likely that you will succeed if you quietly start some learning. If you quietly start working on your health, if you quietly start working on, your relationships. I'm not talking about work over here. Maybe they're related to your work in the longer term. But why not when you quietly quit, which I'm supportive of, why don't you also quietly start? And then maybe your leaders, when they are going to snuff you out for that promotion, suddenly understand that, wow, this guy's learned a new skill over here. What can I do? Or suddenly this person has got an amazing amount of followers on LinkedIn or Instagram. What am I going to do? So that's my view for both the older generation and the younger generation. It's a thorny topic. And the takeaway is, for me at least, I'm going to quietly start a few things every single time. I'm going to learn a few things in all the important areas in life, like, learning a new skill, or learning how to take care of my health, or learning how to take care of finances in a very practical way. So that's my view on it. And I put my money where my mouth is. I've started something called Next Level Learning, which is exactly about quietly starting something so that you are able to continuously move up in your career. I've started with 2 courses. One is on content, the second is on brand, but there are many more to come from where this came from. So do check out the nextlevellearning.com. Now, after that very brief commercial, back to this. I hope that you quietly start and not just quietly quit, whatever your age may be. On that happy note, do follow me. If you like this podcast, subscribe to it, like it. Do follow me. I'm the Traveling Professor on LinkedIn and Instagram. And hey, if you like podcasts like these, do check out the stuff that IBM's got for you. Ciao then.